Tonight, we share 3 spooky, true stories about food deliveries, tales of innocent deliveries that took a frightening turn, leaving both the drivers and the customers doubting their safety, their sanity, and the world around them. So, get comfortable, and get ready for a different kind of delivery. Here are 3 creepy true food delivery at night horror stories. Our first story is from a delivery driver named Tom. Tom worked late-night shifts delivering food for a well-known restaurant in a quiet suburban area. For months, he followed the same route, familiar houses and familiar faces. But one night, something happened that changed Tom's perspective on his job forever. It was just after midnight when Tom got an order for a house at the end of a quiet street. The instructions were straightforward: leave the food on the porch, ring the doorbell, and go. This wasn't unusual. Many customers asked for contactless delivery, especially at that late hour. When Tom got to the house, it was an older building, dark and empty, with only a dim porch light shining at the entrance. Following the instructions, he set the food on the porch and rang the doorbell. Then, something odd occurred. He waited, and waited. No one came to the door. No footsteps. No sounds. Just the unsettling silence of the night. After a few minutes, Tom started to walk back to his car, but then he heard it: footsteps. The clear sound of someone walking toward him from behind. He turned around, but there was no one there. The porch light flickered once, then twice, and for a moment, Tom could have sworn he saw a shadow moving in the window, just out of sight behind the curtains. Suddenly, the door creaked open a little, but no one came out. Tom felt that something was off, even though he couldn't put his finger on it. He hurried back to his car and drove away, checking the rearview mirror as he went. The porch light was still shining, and the door remained slightly open. The following night, Tom got another delivery to the same place. However, when he got there, the house was dark. There was no porch light, and it seemed lifeless. He knocked on the door, but no one replied. The order had been canceled. After that night, Tom never returned to make a delivery there again, and he still wonders who, or what, was waiting for him. Our second story comes from Jessica, a delivery driver who worked the night shift for a food delivery service in a busy city. She had made many deliveries, but one night changed her perspective on the world she thought she understood. It was about 2:30 a.m. when Jessica got a call for a delivery to a tall apartment building in the city center. The address felt odd: a unit on the 30th floor of an otherwise empty building. Still, she took the order, thinking it was just another late-night snack. As Jessica entered the building, she saw that the lobby was completely deserted. There were no other deliveries and no signs of life. The ride in the elevator was eerily quiet, with only the soft hum of the machine as the doors opened on the 30th floor. Jessica made her way down the long, dimly lit hallway to apartment 30B. She knocked on the door and waited, but no one answered. She pressed the doorbell again, yet still, there was no reply. The silence felt heavy around her. Just when she was about to leave, she heard something, a faint scratching sound coming from inside the apartment. Despite her instincts telling her not to, Jessica knocked once more. This time, the door creaked open slowly, but not wide enough for her to see inside. A pale hand reached out through the gap, stretching for the food. Jessica handed over the bag, but the hand hesitated. It stayed there, cold and still. Then, without warning, the door slammed shut, as if something inside had been startled. Feeling rattled, Jessica hurried out of the building. However, as she walked through the lobby, something caught her attention and made her stop. The elevator doors were open, and inside, standing completely still, was the same hand. It didn't look human. The fingers were long, and the skin was unnaturally pale. Jessica bolted out of the building and never went back. Even now, Jessica can't explain what she witnessed. Some people think it was a ghost. Others believe it was something more sinister, something that shows up at midnight. But one thing is clear, Jessica never accepted another late-night delivery again. Our final story tonight is about a delivery driver named Ethan, who worked for a well-known food delivery app in a quiet town on the edge of the city. Like many of his co-workers, Ethan had gotten used to the calm and sometimes odd deliveries he would take late at night. But nothing could prepare him for the terror that he would face one fateful evening. It was around 11 p.m. when Ethan got a delivery request for a distant house just outside of town. The customer had given unusual instructions: leave the food at the door, ring the bell, and leave right away. Ethan found it strange but didn't think much of it. He had completed similar deliveries many times before. When Ethan reached the house, he felt a chill in the air. The house was dark and lonely, with only a faint light glowing from inside. He set the food on the doorstep, as instructed, and rang the doorbell. He waited for a moment, but no one came. He rang it again. Still no answer. Just as Ethan was about to leave, he noticed something. A figure stood completely still in the hallway, visible through the window. The person didn't move or acknowledge him. It was as if they were waiting for him to go. Ethan knocked on the door with a trembling hand, but there was still no reply. Then, he saw something that made his heart race. The figure at the window, it wasn't just standing still anymore. It was staring right at him. Its face, pale, with empty eyes, like a mannequin. But even more frightening, this figure had no features, no expression, just a blank space where the face should be. Frightened, Ethan quickly turned and ran back to his car. As he glanced back one last time, he saw the figure in the window moving closer, pressing its face against the glass, as if watching him leave. He sped away, never looking back. After that night, Ethan decided he would never work a late shift again. He left his delivery job, too scared to go near that house or any place where strange things might happen. And that house? It's still there, empty and waiting, but it feels like someone, or something, is always watching from inside. Here are 3 spooky tales about late-night food deliveries that went terribly wrong, stories that remind us that sometimes, it's not just the food that arrives, but something far more frightening. Something that lurks in the dark, in the quiet, when no one else is around.